I've been doing a series of readings, mostly focusing on the U.S. and the European Union. But I'm going to. Victoria and I did several readings about Palestine and the illegal occupation that that they call Israel a few years ago. And I've gotten a lot of requests to do more readings. I haven't been covering this topic because the more I look into it, the more puzzling it becomes. I've actually read chunks of the Talmud, and holy shit! I mean, holy shit! This has not only caused me to question the very nature of Judaism, but it's caused me to question the very nature of all Judeo-Christian Islamic history. I mean, holy shit! Read the Talmud. It's like an instruction manual for the overseers of a human slave herd for some weird space aliens or some kind of demonic creatures from the other side of the ice wall or whatever. But seriously, it is not it's not a holy book. And the books that are based on it, you, they've got there's a lot of good things. You can find a lot of good things. You can find a lot of good things in Judaism. There's a lot I really like about Kabbalah and Jewish mysticism. And there's a lot that I really dislike about it. And that's true about, uh, well, the Old Testament. The Old Testament is just sort of um, um, the Talmud dumbed down for Goyim. Uh, I mean, it tells you to burn your stool if it was sat upon by a menstruating woman, which is a hell of a lot better than what it tells you to do in the Talmud. Let me tell you that. They're like, I believe there's sections of it that are borderline advocating cannibalism. Um, so, but here's the thing that really got me questioning it all was the nature of these creatures, these gods that are that we've assigned our personal sovereignty to, whether it's you know Yahweh or Jehovah or Allah or whatever. It's they kind of. I used to think that Joseph Campbell said they were that the reason that Jews, Christians, and Muslims had so much trouble getting along is they all had different names for the same God. That kind of message from heaven. It's like, don't say this stuff. He's calling me on VHF. Um, so I used to be agree with Joseph Campbell on that. They had, the biggest problem is they all have different names for the same God. I don't know if that's the case anymore. I mean, I think because the Elohim are plural. The gods, there's no single God in Judaism. There's not like the God, the one God. That was a addition to Christianity that came later. And it almost seems to be an added for to make the human slave herd easier to manage. Um, Getting a lot of here right now. So, but I read the Bible when I was like 8 years old because I was living on this farm and I loved to read and I just didn't have that much to read. It was like, you know, it was 8 miles to where our school was, and our school had a little library that had virtually no books, and I read a lot of war books, like a lot of histories of World War I and World War II, when I was like 7, 8, 9 years old, because that's all they had. I had to steal them out of the library because they said, "Oh, you're too young for these kind of books." And I read books about the Inquisition that were pretty. I probably was too young to be reading that shit. Which gets us back to the subject of these Elohim, these gods from the Talmud, uh, the Judeo-Christian gods, which I think it's possible that Yahweh, Jehovah, Allah were all different aliens, like from the same, maybe the same, wherever, with the other same continent on the other side of the ice wall, or the same planet, or, you know, uh, the, what do you call them, the Anunnaki, or maybe the, but whatever. Hi y'all. So the but it's something to look into. It's a very strange thing, and it makes the whole foundation of the religions kind of messed up. There's like Sufism, and Islam is beautiful. It's just beautiful mysticism. Same with Kabbalah. Same with actually a lot of the New Testament before all the political crap got put in, and all the good stuff was taken out, like the Gospel of Mary, the Gospel of Thomas, all the apocrypha and pseudo apocrypha, and the stuff we've learned from fragments of texts. And um, the Jesus character, Yeshua, maybe it was his name. He if you read the books that were cut out of the Bible at the Nicene Convention, I don't know, like 166 AD or 265 or some damn thing. Anyway, it was a Catholic Church got together and just sort of edited out anything that wasn't convenient for managing the human slave herd. Um, Much of what Jesus was actually saying was kind of anti-Talmud, anti-Old Testament. It was like, don't look for God out there, look for God in here, because you are your own. You have God in you. I forget who it was that talked about it. One of the philosophers, Christ consciousness. We have that within us. It's a pretty good thing. But this has got me all of and I knew the history of Israel, of the occupation of Palestine. I mean, uh, the this goes back to what do you call them, the Tartar, the Khazarians. Some emperor, king, or emperor of Russia, like, I don't know, probably about the time the Vikings were first starting to raise a little hell, told everybody that he was a Russian Orthodox Christian, and he told people they had to all the Russian people had to pick one of like either Judaism, because they had Jews living there, they had Muslims, they had you know Catholics, they had Christian Orthodox. He just said it doesn't matter what you pick, you have to pick one or the one of the bunch. And the Khazarians chose Judaism, and they weren't Jewish. They had nothing to. If you look at most of the people living in Palestine right now, the people that are Israelis, they're not Palestinian. They're freaking genetically Polish. They're from the Eastern Europe, from the Khazarian, the Khazarian Empire. They're I probably, as a Scandinavian ancestry, I probably got more actual Jewish blood in me, because they got around. My people got around. They spread their seed far and wide, and they brought home slaves and war brides and stuff too. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So anyway, I looked into this, and but this gets to the history of the modern state of Israel. There is no biblical Zionism. Zionism was something that the Rothschild banking cabal hired Theodor Herzl, who was a atheist. He was Jewish, but he was an atheist. They had him create this whole Zionist philosophy, because they were. I think they had a plan. I think what they wanted, they knew that petroleum was going to replace whale oil as a primary source of lighting of energy for a population of humans that was getting too big to live off the fat of whales, and they knew they could market it. They said, there's we can. You love my accent, thank you. People say I sound Canadian. How many pillows do you sleep with? I sleep with. I prefer to sleep with like three, but I don't have. I don't have them here. They're all in Guatemala, so I only got two on the boat. Uh, so back to the. So what happened was, so they really got behind putting together this power structure in the oil producing region. They first off they financed Big Bill Rockefeller, who was basically a drug pusher. I mean, he traveled around in a wagon with selling snake oil. It was petroleum that he was getting in Pennsylvania. He was mixing it with opium, and it would sell. He'd sell it to people, and the petroleum would make them get rid of their constipation, and the opium would make them feel good. And then he'd have a addicted client base. Hey, if you're like this, give it a thumbs up. Appreciate it. See, thank you for those of you that have. So anyway, one of his customers that was a heroin addict. So he mixed it with heroin. Opium anyway. I think it was heroin. I think Barrett had invented heroin by then. But he had one of his clients had the patent for the oil drilling rig. He was no dummy, Big Bill Rockefeller. He might have been a whoremonger and a drug dealer, but he was no dummy. And he got the oil. The guy owed him money. He was his dealer, so he wanted to keep the snake oil flowing. Keep that opium, heroin, petroleum oil concoction coming his way. He paid off his debt with the patent for the oil drilling rig, and that's how the Rockefellers got rich. So enter the Rothschilds. They financed both Standard Oil. They financed Big Bill Rockefeller and then John D. Rockefeller's Standard Oil, and then whichever the scum banks they started, Chase or whatever, or Bank America, whatever it is that the Rockefellers started, and made them like the richest people in America. So then during World War I, they worked out a deal where they had, I think it was Nathan Rothschild or he might have died. It might have been his son. But right around that time, the Balfour Declaration. So they'd hired Theodore Herzl to create this Holy Land mythology, basically, and everybody was like, we're gonna go and part of that mythology is for Jesus to come out of his hidey hole, they have to rebuild the third temple of David or some goddamn thing, and the Temple Mount will get rid of the Muslims and shit. They have. So that's what Christian Zionists are all about. That's what Christian Zionism is. That's why so many Christian Zionists support genocide in Palestine. Some God, but that's why I didn't like this Elohim. These these Old Testament Talmud gods, and there were multiple ones of them. They were sons of bitches. They're the kind of people that just get pissed off at somebody for pissing against a rock and kill and send a flood to kill like thousands of people in the city. Not nice guys. I mean, read the Old Testament for God's sakes, and don't read these new balderized translations. Read the old, like King James. It's probably as close as you're going to get in easily accessible English versions. And these guys were not nice guys, man. They were, I am a jealous God, and I will kill your ass. If you so much as don't bend down properly and bury your ass at the setting sun or whatever. Um, the so anyway, but I digress. So anyway, we ended up with Israel, and how that happened. That's an interesting story too, because look into this. Hitler's grandmother was a maid at the Rothschild mansion in Switzerland, and and she got knocked up. She came back to her home in Austria pregnant. So the Rothschilds paid the local blacksmith, his name was like Hissler. He changed it to Hitler, but his name was Hissler, to marry her. So she didn't have a illegitimate child, and she had Hitler's father was her kid. Um, and so, okay, let's do a little math here. The Rothschilds, and suddenly this blacksmith was the richest man in town. The Rothschilds, the maid got knocked up. I would think that happens a little bit in your average mansion, right? Especially back in like 1850s or something like that, 1860s. So the maid, she got knocked up. So the butler knocked her up. They're not going to put a lot of money into sending her home and setting her up with the blacksmith, so she's not like some illegitimate bastard mother. And anyway, so they put a lot of money into this. So I'm gonna guess that it's probably I think it was Nathan Rothschild then. He was a young man then. He might have been the son, the Nathan that started the Balfour Declaration. He might have been the oldest son of the family. He's probably a good bet for whoever knocked up Hitler's grandma, or the dad. But whatever, they wanted to keep this all so under wraps that they put some money behind it. They didn't just tell her, yeah, well, you're pregnant, just go away, we'll get a new maid, which is what you would do if the butler had done it. That's an interesting clue game. I gave a clue with who is Hitler's grandfather? Which Rothschild is he the bastard grandson of? So yeah, so anyway, this brings us to the Balfour Declaration. The Balfour Declaration is a goddamn letter that Lord Balfour, Lord of the Exchequer or some goddamn thing, wrote to Swiss banking family, giving them Palestine. Here you can have Palestine, as your for your chosen people, and that shit that all comes from Theodore Herschel, and so they got Palestine, and here they have World War One ends. The world is saying, you're gonna what? You're gonna give Palestine, you England, who have like marginal territorial claims over this area, are gonna just give it to a Swiss banker? I don't think so. So Balfour Declaration went nowhere. So they needed an excuse to get a base of operations in the oil producing region, because they were really controlling the oil industry. They financed British Petroleum. They put the money up for the royal family to start British Petroleum, and they put the money up for the Dutch royal family to start Royal Shell. So they were pretty much the overlords of the whole. They controlled Standard Oil, they controlled British Petroleum, they controlled Royal Shell. They were, they had reason to have a base operation in the oil producing region. So, but it didn't go over well. So what happens? Their bastard grandson, the idiot, what do you call that? Coprophiliac? People that get off. Well, just look at the unedited version of the puppet movie Team America, and you'll see what Hitler was into. and it's gross. But anyway, they make so we know for a fact that the Rothschild banks financed the Third Reich. They they did it through their banking cabal. They did it through George Bush's grandfather, Herbert Walker Bush. He got convicted of sedition for aiding the enemy by loaning money to Germany, and he was like running a Rothschild bank out of New York. Um, hey, I like your haircut. Yeah, thank you. Actually, it's getting kind of long. I'm getting to be a hippie. Um, I was gonna cut it too. I forgot. I put a shirt on though because it's not so nice. Yeah, yeah. I'll give it likes. Thank you. So anyway, so let's just say either it's possible or not, one way or the other. But if it's conceivable that they put their idiot bastard grandson in charge of Germany and finance the Third Reich to create a Holocaust, and they threw 6 million Jewish people under the bus. These guys are not friends of the Jewish people, to get sympathy to enact the Balfour Declaration, which is exactly what happened. People went in, saw what was happening in the concentration camps, saw the movies and videos and what the Germans had done, and they okay, you can have you can have Palestine. It's yours. You know, what you've been through here. We'll take this land. We'll have Nakba and kick the Palestinians off their land. Basically, do to them what the fucking Germans were doing to you, and let you have this country, right? So that's Israel, and I mean. And the shit they've done, Israel created terrorism. I mean, they blew up a hotel and killed a bunch of people, and that was kind of how they got the Balfour Declaration finally enacted. And I mean, they blew up the goddamn what was it, the USS Liberty. They killed a whole bunch. They killed a whole bunch of American sailors, and this is true. This is not like conspiracy theory. This is actual historical truth. And they don't even really apologize for it. They didn't say, "Oh, our bad. Sorry about that." They just like, we're the chosen people. We do what we want, And they've kind of been doing that ever since. And so we did a few readings about this a couple of years ago, Victoria and I, and but things have gotten crazier and crazier. And, for a long time, I just assumed the reason every goddamn U.S. president and U.S. politician bends over and it's a carrot and a stick, bends over for Netanyahu and does what he says, and, tosses his salad when he says, "Toss my salad." Is A, the carrot is the money they get from AIPAC, and B is the stick. And they're going to show the Epstein videos Mossad has made. They've got honey traps like Epstein and the P. Diddy and shit like that. That stuff, it's still going on. It's going on. And, they find out what kind of perversion a president likes. And it's all of them. You don't get that high up. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard, who's done some good things, calls herself a Zionist. If you call yourself a Zionist, you know that there's a video of you doing horrible things with a child in some Mossad data bank. That's just that's a given. Thank you, and hi. Anyway, so that's the reading. I have laid off of this. I haven't really talked about this for a couple of years, at least a year, because part of the reason is I'm afraid of a genuine backlash. There's some evil people. There's some really evil people. I used to not think there was. I don't rule out demon possession and shit like that. And when you get up to the ruling elite, because they're just so bad. Um, I mean, Putin's. I did a reading about that, and it got deleted. This one probably get deleted too. and and but Putin said something the other day about the West being run by demon worshippers, and there, there's some. I don't rule that out anymore. Um, and what's going on over there? Well, let's see what the cards have to say about all this for 2026. Is this the year that Palestinians get their country back? Is it a year where they get driven out of their country completely and completely genocided and go the way of hi. Oh, you can hear some music now. I've got the floating bar that you can see that I'm sometimes anchored by. They've got live music tonight. It actually looks fun. Something Spanish. You're Spanish. I know a little Spanish. Es Puedo hablar demasiado español para comprar cosas en las tiendas para mi barrio. But otherwise, otherwise I'm not that good at it. Hey, you guys, if you're still here, give this a like. Let's see what happens here. Let's see what these cards have to say about the 2026 for Israel. Or, God, I hate to even call it Israel because it is an illegal land theft. I mean, it's a war crime. Everything about it is a goddamn crime against humanity. So I don't know. I call it the illegal occupation of Palestine. So let's see what the cards have to say about the illegal occupation of Palestine in 2026. I was thinking about going and checking out the music tonight over at the floating bar, but it's a little too crowded. They don't have that many chairs and stuff, and I like it when it's quieter there. But the music's fun. The Bob Marley. Everywhere you go in the Caribbean, it doesn't matter from Grenada to Panama, from Bermuda to Mexico, you're going to run into people singing and playing Bob Marley music. And you know what else they play? They play a lot of Bob Denver. So you go into any little club or bar in the Caribbean, and they're playing music, you're going to hear Bob Marley and Bob Denver. So here's the signifier for Israel for the illegal occupation of Palestine in 2026. So that doesn't tell us much. It tells us the confusion will continue. It's continuing now. It's defining who they are. Here's the overall situation, and waiting for something to come to fruition. What that is, I don't know. But here is the gateway, how to get to a better place, and that's a divine union. The reason I haven't been doing this is because I'm genuinely concerned about a lot of Jewish people that I love dearly. Some of the finest, most talented, most beautiful humans I've ever met. And I'm afraid there'll be when things really go south, when Israel finally pays for what it's doing, which has got to happen, I'm afraid that there'll be like just a horrible backlash against all the good, decent, wonderful people. I mean, I've been a member of a group called Jewish Voice for Peace for 15 years, And here's the root card, and that's the Page of Swords. So yeah, and here's the present moment, and that's the moon. That's crap's coming up from the subconscious. And here's the psychological future, and that's sort of like conventional earthly power. And here is the future, and that's the introduction of something with earth energy, like something financial. And here is the fear, and the fear is letting go of the money. Here is the astrological energy, and that is there's movement here for sure. Things are happening. And here is the desires, and the desire is for a peaceful home. And I think that would be for the Palestinians. And because let's be honest, the Israelis don't seem that interested in any kind of peace whatsoever. Um, Bay, by huh? Oh, um, and here's the final outcome: solitude. So I kind of, and this modifies fears, which makes sense. This modifies the astrological energy, which really makes sense. This modifies desires, and this modifies the final outcome. So, this is why Victoria didn't like to lay out the cards when I was. Oh, that's Victoria.
Hello, Moto.
I got to decline. Something's going on here. I ordered a cheesecake for New Year's Eve for our party. We're having a little party, and I think I might have missed a call there too. So, this isn't a very clear reading because it's like the card about the signifier, like who are we talking about, is basically the what the fuck card. And it's based on action, but I see some chance of something positive here, and that's divine union. There were places in the world where Jewish people and Muslim people lived together in peace and harmony for many, many years before like 1948. The largest Jewish population in the world used to be in Morocco. But many of those people moved to Israel when they opened up Israel, and they were well received. And there were a lot of Jewish people from Ethiopia too that moved to Israel, and the dark-skinned people weren't very well received by the Polish people that came from Eastern Europe, and the people we think of as Israelis now, they weren't too nice to their brethren from Africa. They still aren't. To look into that. I mean.
Hello, Moto.
Just a second, I'm gonna take this. Sorry about that. I guess I reconnected. I lost you there for a minute. I wonder how this is going to work out. I wonder if this is going to work. Hope I didn't screw it up. But I'll just do the reading really quick, just for those of you that are here. But there's going to be some shadow work. There's going to be some coming to accounting. And people are going to get what they deserve. And let's just say that I don't think things look good for Mr. Netanyahu, to be honest with you. I don't know what the hell's going on. I mean, I look at what's happening with Iran and Iran, and I actually kind of avoid that whole mess because it's too unclear. It's too much like this. But I believe that there's going to be something conventional that happens here. The final outcome is interesting. And I think it's going to make people go inside. Well, I was saying about this. There was a time. I mean, if you look at if you read about Palestine 100, 150 years ago, it was a place where Jewish people and Muslim people lived together in harmony, with peace, and it's not that now. Uh, so, but that there's some people there that want that very much, and it's going to take some action to get there. Um, the uh, the But I think it might, whatever, I think something good is going to come of it. What that is totally unclear. I, I hope it's peace. I hope it's the end to the slaughter of Palestinians. I hope it's people that have committed crimes against humanity, you know, getting called to justice. And but I can't honestly say I really see a clear story. I'm afraid that what we're looking at is another year of more of the same, to be honest with you. Hopefully some good will come out of it. I wish I had better news for the people of that part of the world. And I hope everything's good. I hope that there is no horrible backlash against Jewish people in the world, and if there is, I hope we all stand up to help our neighbors and our friends and our people we love, and don't let this happen. At the same time, let's hope that the people that have been committing atrocities and war crimes in Palestine pay for what they've done. I can't say I see that happening in 2026 though. Something's going to happen, but it might not be clear. It's going to be. I think we'll understand more of what's happening in 2026 in Palestine in 2027. But I think we've got another year of chaos, unfortunately. Love you all. This is the longest video I've ever done, and I stopped it to do a call. We'll see what happens if I killed it and started it up again. And thank you all for watching. And if you're still here, give it a like. Come on, let's give it a thumb up. Think of this one as a thumb up Netanyahu's fetid ass. Yeah. And I've got the perfect musical backdrop for this. Love you all. I'm going to do at least one more, I think, before the end of the year. And take care.